What is the worst possible way to be rejected?
I went on a first date with a girl. We had a nice dinner and really seemed to be hitting it off. We decided to visit a jazz club after dinner. Some guy started flirting with her when she was on her way to the ladies' room. It continued when she was on her way back. Dude then posted up nearby and just kept looking at her and winking at her while she was sitting at the table with me. She excused herself and went over and started talking to the guy. I was hopeful that it was a "what the beep is your problem, dude?" conversation. But no. Soon they were laughing and joking and exchanging numbers. When I decided to call it a night, she thanked me for dinner and said she was going to hang out a bit longer.
I was in middle school and these group of girls convinced me to ask out a guy the first like because they said he liked me back. They helped me get all dressed up and look nice. Then at lunchtime, they brought me to him and as they stood around and watched me, before I could even say anything the guy completely rejected me in front of everyone. And everyone started laughing at me. One of the girls said out loud, "Ew, why would he ever like you? No one does." Middle school was not a pleasant time for me. Edit. Holy moly, I didn't think this would blow up. Thank you all for your comments and awards, heart. Thankfully this happened about 15 years ago, and I bloomed right after high school. If you're experiencing awful bullying in school, it really does get better after graduation. It's like a whole new fresh start. Never give up, and don't believe their lies.
A friend of mine was served separation papers through text. They've been married for 6 years.
Their partner tells you.
I was the first in my family to graduate college and was incredibly proud of myself for making it despite my limited resources and having to work my way through school. My father told me he wouldn't come to my graduation. Said it really wasn't that big of a deal. I still remember the phone call and just sitting in the grass in the common area sobbing while people walked past. Rejection by a parent is something I don't wish on anyone.
One time I had a date with a girl I knew through mutual friends on a Friday night. About an hour before the date she texts me that her dad had a massive heart attack and she needs to go to the hospital. Later that night she posted pictures on Instagram of her out with some friends. She gave her dad a fake heart attack to get out of going on a date with me. Oof. And just to preemptively answer the person who comments, what if she posted old pictures while out in the hospital? No, one of the people she was out with was the friend of mine who set us up in the first place and it was definitely from that night. Edit. Since this is getting a lot of responses, I'll just put this here. Sometimes, women are afraid to say no to men who ask them out and resort to beep like that. You have to understand it's nothing personal. I would imagine most women have experienced at some point when a guy just won't take no for an answer and it feels safer just to lie and say something came up. Did that hurt my feelings? Yes. Does that seem like men who are capable of taking no for an answer are being punished for beep other guys did? Absolutely. But that's life. You still have to take your shoes off at the airport even if you're not the type of guy who would ever blow up an airplane.
Well, I never thought I'd share this, but I liked a girl in middle school. Confessed to her before going to a new school in a different state due to moving. The day I told her she said, "Ew, that's gross," then started laughing. A few months pass and I'm enjoying my new school and went to visit my grandparents, and I get a call from the same girl who said I was gross. She called and said she was sorry and wanted to give it a shot. I said sure, and lo and behold she starts laughing and said she can't believe that worked, and started teasing me for believing that would happen or that she'd want that. TLDR fell for a dare call from my ex-crush. Beep you, Ivy. Edit. This got more attention than I expected. Sorry to anyone named Ivy, maybe except the one who was mean to me, and thank you very cooch for the hugs.
I was 12. All my classmates pushed me to confess to my crush, who was standing on the stairs. Everyone was staring at me as I, in my prepubescent anxiety, managed to blurt out "I love you" while holding my arms up. She put on the deepest expression of disgust I've ever seen, and I run away. Fun times.
True story, last year I liked a girl. I told her. She didn't say much after until one night. I was looking at TikTok and there was a TikTok of her rejecting me to the public. Her saying EW, and how I was quite ugly, deleted TikTok since then.
When the person acts like he or she just saw something disgusting. Come on, first you just say no. If they insist, then you can do whatever you want, but let us have the chance to walk away with just a no.
My first boyfriend in high school told me I wasn't religious enough to date him and broke up with me. He did this after church before we left the building. Pulled me aside in a conference room like we were having an evaluation meeting. A few months later, he was sent home from a school trip for having sex in the bathroom. My first thought, I guess she was religious enough for him.
Being told to wait until recess for an answer to the, "Do you like me?" question, waiting, then being told, "Hell no," on the playground with a gaggle of 6th grade girls behind her. I still carry the scar, 30 years later.
Preemptive rejection. I've had it happen a couple times. Both times were with women, girls who were part of a circle of friends. I never showed any interest in either, but, somehow, they both felt the need to say, out of the blue, "I'll never sleep with you." It's all good, things evened out.
When they're your ride home.
Not a rejection, but when we were in college, a girl I had been friends with throughout high school said, "Ben, I used to fancy you a few years back, but my standards have gone up since then." She said that in front of all our other friends. Fortunately, I found the whole thing hilarious.
Asked the girl for her phone number one night at the bar. She smiled and happily gave it to me. Waited a few days and called it. Turns out it was for a funeral home. I died a little inside that day.
Middle school, I had my friends, she had hers, I asked her, she said no. My friends laugh, her friends laughed. But one of her friends said to my buddies, "Why you laughing, that's messed up." Thank you, kind friend of hers. Edit, I wish I can put a happy ending to this tale. A lot of you has suggested that maybe the friend is the one for me, that I should have married her. But that friend was my good friend for a long time. She had her guy, I had my girl, and unfortunately during senior year of high school she sadly took her own life.
Getting stood up. Sitting at a bar alone, all dressed up, waiting for him to arrive. He never showed. Maybe he saw me and was disappointed and left? Maybe he just ghosted for no reason? Who knows, but it was humiliating.
In middle school my friend wrote a letter to his crush asking her to a dance. Dropped it on her desk and then left because he was nervous. As we walked outside we watched her through the window reading it, laughing, and then getting a bunch of her friends to come over and they read it together laughing their asses off.
I was outright ignored, just not a single thing said. So I awkwardly never talked to them again because they didn't seem to want to talk to me.
Stringing you along so you upend your life, move across country, buy and start renovating a house, and only then learn that she wasn't really serious.
When my college roommate screwed up his courage to ask a girl out, she told him, "If you and I were the last people on earth, my answer would still be no."
To admit to liking a girl, she says she likes you back, and the next day she moves across the country. True story.
Thought I was dating a guy for 2 years. He would call me his girl to his friends and we would hang out every day. Hang out being the key word here. I thought nothing of it. We would be intimate, make plans, eat together, sleep together, go shopping together, exchange gifts. Valentine's Day he goes to Miami with another girl. I thought okay, weird, but I'm not going to be jealous. He'd make it up to me. Turns out he didn't make it up to me, was acting weird, and I looked in his phone and he got rejected through text by the girl he took to Miami when he asked her to date him and think about the future and start a family. And when I asked him why he lied about it, he told me I was never his girlfriend and that I misunderstood our friendship and he was rejecting my advances for something more committed. Clown face. So yeah, my worst rejection, up to date.
When I lived in SoCal in the early 2000s, there was a bogus phone hash girls could give people who asked for their hash. An answering machine would then play a message saying, "Sorry, you've been rejected. Lol," and hang up on you. Edit. The rejection hotline, that was it, lol.
Being led on or strung along when the other person is clearly over it. I am currently going through it. We were seeing each other for about 3 months and then someone new entered her life. They began hanging out a ton. She was answering me less and less. I asked her about it, and straight up said, "It's fine if it's over, but I don't want to just throw us away over me being paranoid. So just be straight with me." Up until then she had been honest, or I think she was. So I believed her when she said she was just busy with the end of the school year, and he was just a friend. Flash forward 2 weeks, we have spent max 2 hours in that same time. Hurts so much worse this way. Like I wasn't even important enough to dump. I was just gutted and left to bleed out on the side. This is what people mean when they say they need closure. Just tell people what you need if it's over. I just wish she had said, "Look, I want to see where things go with this guy. I am sorry, but that means we are through."
The worst she can say is no. Uck.
I went to a club with my friends and this guy came over to our group to ask my friend's cousin if she wanted to dance. She yelled, "OMG. No," loudly and put her hand up to block him. It was the most vicious rejection I've ever seen to a guy who was being super nice about it. I already have a hard time approaching girls and that beep always plays in my mind to this day when I'm trying to get myself to talk to a girl.
Ghosting. Reject me outright, don't leave me in suspense.
When your family kicks you out of the house.
This content is not available right now.
EU proceeds to make TikToks about it and telling everyone about it.
When I was in high school, a girl I knew was trying to set me up with one of her friends who I was acquainted with. I was resistant because I was like 15 and never had a girlfriend before and was nervous. Eventually it got to the point where she straight up told me if I didn't walk up to her right now and ask her out, she was going to do it for me. I decided, screw it, and walked up to her and asked her out. She initially said, "Let me think about it," which I knew damn well was a no, so I was pretty deflated. Then the next day she comes up to me and hands me a 2-page note about how she was never going to go out with me and how I was ugly LMFAO. Edit. Stop upvoting this beep, I'm gonna end up on one of those YouTube AskReddits.
So, here I am. A junior in high school. I got this mad crush on a girl. One day at lunch I grow a pair and asked her to a ball my school was hosting. She said yes and I was over the moon. Later that day we were texting and she said that she forgot that she's going to be out of town that day. And I told her it was no biggie, I'll just bring my friend who's homeschooled. A little bit later that day we were once again talking and I asked her out on a date. And that's when she hit me with the, "Oh, I have a boyfriend. We could go as friends though." Still beep confused.
I don't really talk to anyone in my family about my feelings. One time I was feeling courageous enough to tell my brother, who I am closest to, that I was feeling sad, and I asked if we could talk about it. He said, no, without even looking at me. I don't talk to anyone in my family about my feelings anymore.
Everyone else in the area forms a synchronized song and dance routine led by the rejector, that proceeds to list and mock all of your shortcomings and problems. And then you get the enormous bill for the training and choreographing and hiring.
I have contradicting feelings about this comment section. On one hand, I would like to read other people's stories, and on the other hand, I am enraged from all the absolute BS people had to go through as teens.
I'm straight. Sees him kissing a guy.
If you were the trophy at the end of a race, I'd run backwards.
When you go home and she's sucking your dad instead.
Being rejected before you ask.
Blank has screenshotted this conversation.
May your day be filled with joy and happiness. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more quality content every day.